going on, everybody? Welcome back, Submission Fishing Live, your source for Thursday fishing conversation. How's everybody doing out there? We got a good show for you today. I'm your host, Muto, of course. We got with us Cameron Gamble from BD Outdoors. Just got a good show. We're going to talk about just some upcoming trips we've had, kind of the changes we've seen, if any, with the whole fishing thing or the hurricane that we had. That
hurricane
turned into be a little bit of a dud. But, we'll get into... I'm really interested in some of your deckhanding experience and all that, so it should be a good show. If you guys have any questions, I know you guys had some questions on Instagram and stuff too, so we'll definitely get to those. And yeah, I think it'll just be a good conversation. So if you guys got anything in the live, let us know, and yeah, we'll get to it. See who's in the house. Colton C. Oos, welcome to the show. Spinning Rod Rebel Marvin, glad to have you back. Michael Tran, what's going on? Hayden, Sleepy RJ, Tim, what's going on? Lao Fish, Sammy, what's up, man? Sammy Prum, David Chrisman, Danny Perez, what's going on, man? Good to see you again. Benji Kim in the house.
Benji,
the Surf Fishing King, what's going on, man? Not much, dude. You know what we're going? We're planning like a surf fishing thing. Me and Brian likes to fish, and Aaron Kruger, we're gonna go out.
Oh, cool.
We were going to go this way, but we might go this weekend.
Dude, the water's kind of turned a little bit.
I heard it's like chocolate milk.
It's like 63, 64. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we're all crappy surf fishermen anyway, so. We're like out pretty decent fishermen, but I don't think any of us can surf fish, so it should be interesting. We'll see. Dansky, what's going on? Ooh, Kiwi Reacts, welcome to the show. Leonard, glad you could join us. Manny Fresh, what's going on? Corey King, welcome back. Glad you guys could join us. If you guys are seeing people type "oos" in the chat, it basically just means that they've liked the show. So press the like button. It really helps us out, helps the algorithm, lets everybody know we're live. So really appreciate you guys saying what's up. Mark Yamamoto, what's going on, man? Been a while. How can I become a deckhand? We'll get into that. We'll get into that. It's probably not easy, right? You got to know people, or they'll take anybody that breathes at this point.
It really depends on
the boat,
on how hard you're willing to work. To be honest,
that's true.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? Everybody on Instagram, we're on YouTube. I'm gonna stream on here for a little bit, but I'll hop off here, just letting you guys know if you want to join the chat. We got Cameron in the house.
What's up, guys?
We're gonna be getting into some little deckhand conversation, BD Outdoors, and yeah, should be good. Manny Fresh, what's going on? Glad you could join us. Spinning Water Rebel. I've never had bluefin. How much different is it from yellowfin as far as texture and taste? I think it's pretty similar, to be honest with you. Like,
it's weird. I think it's personal preference. I don't know. I was literally on a shoot today where we were making sushi, and it's I mean, when you go to a market and you buy ahi's ahi. Yeah. They don't tell you if it's yellowfin or bluefin.
Right.
Everything is personal preference, to be honest.
Usually, I thought ahi was like yellowfin, and then bluefin was bluefin. Do they call bluefin ahi as well?
I guess so.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I guess so. I don't know. You would assume that in, like, I would say maybe not like a dedicated fish market, but like when you're at like Ralph's or something, it's just whatever's being caught.
Oh, interesting.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
I've never had them like side by side. I've had them like at different times, but it's pretty similar to me. But I bet if you had them like next to each other, I feel like bluefin's a little more, to me, has a little more like metallic taste. Yeah. And maybe that's just that might just be me, but I think that's.
You want to know a fact that's gonna shell shock everybody? All right, I put yellowfin and bluefin side by side in a bowl for my cat. My cat will eat the yellowfin around the bluefin.
Interesting.
She eats yellowtail, rockfish, anything, lingcod, salmon, anything from Alaska, even if it's been frozen.
Doesn't eat the bluefin?
She won't eat bluefin if I caught it that morning.
Dude, that's crazy.
So I don't know.
Must be something to it. Let's see who else I got. Mana Pesca, welcome to the show. Cameron surffish as well, and surfs all. You surffish a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit. Well, thanks to Benji. Shit.
Yeah, I gotta go out with Benji. That's what we're missing. I feel like we're gonna go out there and have a really rough time, but we gotta figure it out. Dinks, what's going on? Stephen Gage, Brian likes to fish. What's going on, man? Welcome. Kauai, gotta see if the boat needs anyone. Oh yeah, it's giving some.
Yeah, that's very, very key. We had a pinhead on the Prowler, Matty Mudd, who now is going to the Maritime Academy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I saw kind of the way the world was going. It was like, do I go to college or do I take the maritime route? And we were kind of like, I went to college. I actually left deckhanding to go to school.
Interesting.
I mean, luckily for me, I used my degree to get a job at BD, but I'm still filling in on boats and whatnot. So
right.
Start as a pinhead when you're young and work your way up the ranks.
Yeah, we're going to get into that stuff, guys, for sure. We'll just go over some news stories real quick. Not too much in the news. The free fishing day is September 2nd, so we only get 2 free fishing days a year where you don't need a license, basically. So you can take your friends, family, kids. Mostly you can fish from piers without a fishing license, but you can't fish anywhere else. But I think it's right around 4th of July, and then this time coming up September 2nd. So just to give you guys a heads up, if you want to go get somebody out there that doesn't want to pay for a license, yeah, it's one of your second free days you can get on.
Interesting.
Aside from that, we just had... I'm going to put this story in here. This is for you guys. Captain Dan sent this. Basically just regarding some sea lions. If you guys are interested in checking out or going to the hearing. Basically, I think Point Loma, not Point Loma, La Jolla, Point La Jolla or something like that. They're trying to like close down the area, I think, to the public so that the sea lion pups can breed. And I think it used to be a seasonal thing, but now they're talking about closing it off permanently year round. So if you guys have interest in that, I know Captain Dan was kind of fighting against that for a long time. He was against having them on the beach because they've closed down, I think, one of the few beaches where, like baby beaches, where there's low tide and they didn't have waves, so the kids would go with the children. I'm pretty sure that's gone. They've given that to the sea lions. I think we're going to lose some more land. So it's up to you guys. If you care about, public property getting owned by the sea lions, go check that out. They're having a hearing, so if you want to go talk about it, definitely get on there. I won't talk about it too much because I'm not like super versed in it, but just bring that to your guys' attention if that's something you guys are into. There is a public hearing going on pretty soon, so definitely go check that out. Aaron Kruger, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Yeah, and as far as news, like the hurricane obviously wasn't that much of a hurricane, but I kind of think we knew that, right? It was going to be a tropical storm, but
I don't know. I found myself like when it. So I worked a day and a half trip that left the Friday night and got back Sunday morning.
Oh, you did?
On the Pacifica. Yeah,
so you were in it the whole time.
We were out there at Tanner. It was probably some of the best weather I've seen all season. Flat, calm, 75, 80 degrees.
Sunday.
So we left a little bit earlier on Saturday night because the prediction said it was going to rain a lot. We wanted to get in, make sure everyone was safe. As a captain, Andrew was just kind of like, hey, man, why risk it? Let's get in there. 3 a.m. it started raining a little bit. Nothing really happened. But it was super trippy to be getting texts from. I have a lot of family in New Orleans. My grandma had texted me like a checklist, like fill up your bathtub, go get water, make sure your car's full when the streets are flooded, and like. So I'm texting my lady at home, like, hey, just so you know, like Graham's tripping. She's been through Katrina, Ida, I don't remember, but like, so we didn't really go to any lengths to prepare. We weren't buying canned food and stuff, but I just then I found myself on Sunday night sitting looking at the window, like, come on. Hit me. Like, what are you doing? You blew my garden out, you might as well do the worst now. So
some places got, like Baja Mexico got hit pretty hard. They definitely got some flooding.
Like El Rosario and even in the East Cape and stuff.
They got it when it was still a hurricane.
Palm Springs too.
Palm
you see
Springs.
the videos like Palm Springs in LA around SoFi Stadium was
the desert. Ocotillo.
Oh, really?
I think a big day to like a rock slide. Not San Diego. Apparently it went a lot more east, and the eye actually like went over. It kind of missed San Diego and went into the desert. Cause I got family that lives in Palm Springs area. They were getting hammered. They were sending me pictures of like the dams. It was major flooding. My brother sent me a picture of like a tree that was blown over. They got it pretty, because I was like, dude, there ain't nothing out here. I was like, it got a little windy like Sunday night, but
I mean, I was thinking like power outage, maybe no work Monday type thing. Like, what's going on? Is the BD office going to be shut down because we're going to lose the power grid? Right. None of that.
They closed we have a trash day Monday. Like they canceled the Monday trash pickup. Really? So it was like, we're not going to pick up Monday. We're going to, emergency. We'll do it Tuesday. The Monday came around. It was like not a drop in the sky. It was, and they didn't pick up trash. But when we went out to eat Sunday, it was like we just laughed. We're like, let's go out somewhere. It's like it's not that bad.
I don't know if anyone saw the videos of like Costco and everyone getting ransacked and stuff. It's like you can't fault the people for wanting to prepare, but at the same time, like shit.
We went to Costco that day too. That Sunday. Not for emergency supplies, I think just for normal shopping. But the lines were like down the aisles. I was like, I guess better safe than sorry. You never know. It could have went south. But as far as like fishing, I feel like the numbers, nothing's really changed. I think the fishing was good coming up to the hurricane. From everything I heard the day before, people said they had really good numbers. We
anchored up at Tanner all day Saturday. We plucked 20 of them on the hook. We had a good charter group. It was a nice group of people. They do it every year. Is husbands and their wives, do like a men versus women fishing tournament. Super good group, and they all know how to fish, so we did lose a lot of fish, tackle failure or whatnot, but then about maybe 11 or 12, maybe 1, Andrew was like, yo, they're biting at Cherry, big ones are biting. So I made the move about an hour and a half northwest, went to Cherry, saw a bunch of good spots of fish, flew the kite around, landed a 200-pounder on the double trouble rig, which is super slept on, by the way. I don't know if you guys have your own boats and you skip the Cali Flyer, which is awesome. You skip a dead flyer, which is awesome. Do a double trouble rig. It's essentially just a swivel that leads down to 2 separate leaders with 2 circle hooks where you collar hook sardine or mackerel, and you let them flutter on the surface and drop them right into a foamer. Smoked every time.
Wow.
200-pounder just like that, and then we had another 2 or 3 over 100. I actually lost one on the double trouble that would probably been about 220 plus.
That's awesome.
It was a bummer when you lose it, but
yeah.
But yeah, so there was a good spot of fish up there, and then towards the end of the day we worked back to Tanner and didn't see much, and then went home to try to beat the storm.
I've been seeing the numbers like Tanner. I'm seeing all the bluefins, so I know they're at Tanner Cortez is like that's the spot right now. But then I'm seeing good yellowtail numbers too, so they're like coming back. Right,
the local guys too, right? So like Nate Lindsay works for BD, and Ricky Official works for BD as well. They were out that Saturday in the local zone. The Grande was out there. A couple buddies were out there. It looks like that local fishing was mental the day before the hurricane. Yeah,
so that's what I saw too. Yeah. But there wasn't that many people out there, which is crazy.
Bluefin, yellowtail, Dorado, the whole lot came in.
Yeah.
So.
And even now, like the numbers, I think they're kind of normal. The tuna's still good. The Dorado, still kind of hit or miss. I'm seeing numbers where they're like 30 people or... Sometimes I've seen limits. The San Diego's getting on them, it looks like, but then I'm seeing like 20 people with like 18 Dorado, where you can tell they're picking them. So it doesn't seem like it's full speed yet on those. They're definitely around. They're here, but I don't think
the Grande had limits like 2 or 3 days ago. But I mean, dude, honestly,
it's on and off. I don't think it got worse. I don't think it got better. It's kind of like where it should be.
I mean, when you see limits on a sport boat that fishes 30 people and it's a day boat and it's Dorado, that's mayhem because Dorado are insane. Everyone's light line fishing. If you can land 80 fish, so say you have 40 passengers, everyone gets 2 in Mexican waters. If you can land 80 fish, you probably hooked 140 of them. There's no way you're with those Dorado, how sporadic they are, especially everyone's fishing 20, 30, 40 pound. So many break-offs, pulled hooks, failed tackle. It's insane.
It is pretty crazy. What's going on, guys? If you're on Instagram, you can find us on YouTube. I won't keep the stream up that long, so I'm just funneling people over here. Catch up on the chat. Kauai 69 Potato. Many jetties, you aren't required to have a fishing license. And you got to figure out which. Oh, I didn't know that. That's
it's all jetties. Jetties and piers in Southern California. I mean, maybe Benji can weigh in and answer that, but I'm pretty sure that if you are fishing off of a jetty or a pier in Southern California, you don't need a license. And I think that's kind of like an economic thing, right? Like if you're fishing for your family off the pier, you don't need to be paying $50 a year or something.
Yeah, I understand that. Chris says, sea lions don't have anywhere else to go. Look at the destruction of the coast by the development. Everyone expects them to go somewhere else, but where? Yeah, man, go let your voice be heard.
Yeah.
It was really nice out there Saturday. Yeah, that's what I hear. Mark, if you really want to be deckhand, it's really hard there, but yeah, we're going to talk about that. Let's see what else we got. Katie, welcome to the show. Went out the day before, and the fishing was nuts. Yeah, that's what I heard, dude. I saw like a lot of yellowfin, and then they kind of dipped out. I was like, oh, here they come, and then I haven't really seen them in the numbers anymore again. Let's see. Bunch of boats got the mahi. Yeah, I saw that. I saw a couple of boats struggle, but I know Tony was talking about. She did her little fish report on BD, and she was saying how looks like the patties were starting to turn on a little bit, which is good. Just got back from fishing the islands. Yellowtail were boiling, but we couldn't get them to go. But limits of bass. Hey. Doug Rubin, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Welcome to the show. Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much all we have news-wise. The hurricane, stuff like that, and hopefully you guys are out there fishing. So, Cameron, let's talk a little bit. So, let everybody know kind of who you are real quick and what you do.
Yeah, so I've been on this podcast before. Yeah. Nate Winicki and I were here. I'm the community manager at BD Outdoors. You guys might know it as Bloody Decks. Kind of rebranded as BD Outdoors about 10 years ago. It's a little easier for a large company to sign a check to BD Outdoors rather than Bloody Decks. As sad as you hate to say it, money comes first, so we're BD Outdoors now. I've only been there for a few years. I didn't grow up fishing. I started started the realm of fishing after I finished college football and went up to Alaska to be a deckhand, make some money. And then ended up moving back down to San Diego. I'm from Temecula originally, so
nice. I didn't know that.
San Diego's kind of my home. I mean, I would say Oceanside's more my home because Temecula, well, before all the stoplights and stuff, the 76 and getting to Oceanside was super easy. Now, not so much. But so yeah, moved back down here and took the passion of fishing onto the sport boats, where I started cooking on the Prowler. And then I was a deckhand on the Prowler with Buzz and Jim for a few years, and then Andrew bought it, and I went with the boat, worked with Andrew for a year, and then we got in a pretty gnarly boat crash. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but yeah, I was on the boat. That was a really gnarly experience, being on there as it went down. Took a little bit of a toll, but I already had a plane ticket to Australia, so it was whatever. I moved to Australia for a few years, came back, ended up finding a job, same realm, and with BD, it was really cool to stay in the industry. But you know, I got a lady at home and a life on land, so not being gone all the time was something that really attracted me. So like finding BD and being like, you know, okay, yeah, so
a little bit more.
Yeah, you know, so. But still, I still fill in on boats when I can. If you guys are familiar with the Pacifica, I mentioned earlier, Andrew, who ran the Prowler, I filled in, you know, probably only a handful of trips this year. Last year, I probably did, you know, 10, 15, 20 trips on the weekends. This year, now that I'm not only community manager at BD, I'm now the event coordinator, so I spend a lot of times on the weekends working. Like this weekend, we're doing a podcast, all the trade shows that happened earlier this year. There's a lot less free weekends that I have to be fishing. And to be honest, it's kind of nice to get on the go fast boats.
Yeah.
I got buddies with Skiffs, I got buddies with Parkers, I got buddies with Freemans and all this and that as I start to meet people, and not hating on the sport boats at all. But sometimes it is nice to go really fast, cover a lot of ground in a day. But I'll tell you what about sport boats, nothing beats putting your feet up, letting someone else do the work.
That's 100% true.
Like, yeah.
We were talking to somebody about that. And it is, so we'll get into that. You do a lot of the sport boat trips and stuff too, right? Because I know I've sponsored 2 of your trips, and we went out. Was it last week or the week before?
It was the
week before.
Yeah.
So we did went on the Pacifica, did a full day, and some rough ass seas.
Yeah, that was for lack of a better
so
term.
That is a benefit of the sport boats too, though. You can go. You could not do that on a private boat.
There was no boat under 50 feet that would have been able to endure that type of weather. That was rough.
But that's something you guys started doing or picked up, right? Like BD was doing charter boats, and then that kind of got away from it now.
Yeah, so
bringing it back a little bit.
I know Ollie and Jason used to do that quite a bit. They would either charter a boat out or just get people to, you know, buy tickets and do sponsored trips. But I think after COVID and whatnot, a lot of people had to go find work elsewhere, as every other business in the world. So when I got brought in, they kind of were like, hey, you know, we want to get back into doing sponsored trips. And I was like, well, that's great. I have a huge leg in the sport boat realm. So usually what we do is we just reserve a spot for me and Ira. Ira's our photographer. And then the boat fills up like open party style, which was like the Apollo.
Right.
But also what I enjoy even more is chartering the boat completely. We did that on the Grande and then the Pacifica this year. Because then we sell the tickets through BD's, through like our store, so through Shopify or whatever. And we're kind of able to know everybody a little bit more. I get everyone's emails beforehand. I get to prep everyone on what to expect. I'm more of a charter master rather than just another guy.
Right. Which is important.
Yeah, it's nice to like be able to connect. Like I sent an email, you know, a couple days before. This is what we're doing. This is what we're not. Yeah. And then I also get to let everyone know, hey, this crew works hard. Tip these guys. Come ready to have a good time, whether we catch fish or not. And I get to let everyone know what's going on. Like we were going into pretty shit fishing.
Yeah,
we knew like Dano, the captain, Andrew had taken the trip off. Dan, he's night driver and second captain, ran the trip and was just kind of like we were texting all week. And he's like, man, like, you need to get these guys to get passports. I'm like, Dano, we sold all the spots. No one's getting passports. Like, I can't ask people after they paid for a spot to get a passport. So, I want to do this. I want to do that. Fishing's really tough locally. So, you know, luckily we scratched away with a good day, but at least I was able to kind of give everyone a heads up. Like, hey, man, you know, this is what's working. This is what's not.
It was still pretty good. Like,
yeah.
All things considered, as bad as it was, we found some patties that bite. It was like one or two and they disappeared. I think I hooked the first fish on a submission jig.
Yeah.
A dodo, and then I lost it. It was like we hit a wave. Like I hit the deckhand in the face with the rod.
Oh, no.
Like the dodo came off, and it was just like, because that's how rough it was. We were just like getting tossed. I was like trying to keep my footing. I think where everybody rolled over, and it was like I hit him right in the face with like my jig stick, and then somehow the fish came off it because I probably lifted it out of the water. It was like.
Well, that was funny because, Benji said it best, right? Like, so Benji Kim's in the chat. I see you commenting in there. I'm pretty sure you guys both hooked fish, right? And then you guys both lost them, and then we landed two. And, like, Dorado aren't that smart. So I'm pretty sure the ones that came off, the one you hooked is the one I got. Handed off to my sister. My little sister is, like, 24, 25, never fished a day in her life. She got her first Dorado, which was awesome. Thank you for priming him for us.
Yeah, no problem.
Benji hooked one, lost it, and someone else.
We were right next to each other, so you guys know Benji Kim. If you're on YouTube, I'm sure you heard of Benji. He's a surf fisherman. He was on the trip with us too. So if you guys aren't, go follow his channel if you guys want to learn how to surf fish. So I think everybody in Southern California watches his stuff. If you've typed surf fishing Southern California, that's the guy. So it was cool having him on the boat. But yeah, we were right next to each other. We hooked up at like the same time. We both lost them. Yeah, it was a heartbreaker. And then you guys hooked up like right after. So I don't know if they ate them and then went down and.
I did. Those Dorado are so stupid. That's exactly.
You guys on Instagram? I'm gonna sign off. If you want to come join us on YouTube, Submission Fishing Channel. We'll see you guys there.
Go to YouTube. But yeah, so not to leave you guys hanging here, I might as well tell you how it ended up, right? We scratched 24 Dorado.
Yeah.
Most of them like that classic necktie size. They weren't nothing big. There was one towards the end of the day that was great. That was a good size fish. But the Sea Watch was less than 2 miles from us all day. They left with one or two fish.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Every other boat in the area. Dude, to be honest, it all helps with the boat too, right? Like Dano was pushing the Pacifica to like 1,700 RPMs, which means he burned probably as much fuel as they would burn on an overnight. Mainly just because like me and him were boys, and he was like, "Dude, I don't want you guys to not catch fish." He loves the BD guys, and like, he just wanted to make sure that we were all getting it. And for you guys on your local skiffs, I would say read the temp charts and stuff because we started off.
We went south.
We went south, and then we were working up the 370. Yeah. Did we end up at the 370?
We were pretty close to the islands. Then we went south.
We went south, and then when we pushed north, there was a clear temp break. Because I was in the wheelhouse with Dano, and he was like, "This water's shit."
Yeah, we had to go west, and then we went north. Yeah, towards like that 302.
But it was right on the temp break. It was like when it went from 68 to 71. We've seen patties the whole way. Mm-hmm. From 68 to 71, boom, fish everywhere, and it was kind of crazy that. Even when we were only pulling 8 fish out, there was 40, 50, 60 fish underneath us. They just weren't.
Oh, they were there, yeah.
Yeah, they just weren't ready to eat as much, so.
That was the same story on our trip, too. It was like, we found a patty, we stayed on it, and we picked them off all day, but it was like, there were hundreds, and we still probably only pulled like 30 of them out. Yeah.
How about that? I got one on a Colt Sniper.
Yeah.
I think threw that thing out, let it sink, and hooked it. I was like, 50 pound. Yeah. Dad! My dad came running up.
Yeah. We were catching them on the submission jigs. My buddy Travis, who I went with. We were fishing. He caught one on his. The first fish I hooked was on a jig. I just fished jigs all day.
Yeah,
they were working good.
Yeah,
same with the live bait. It was just too chaotic back there. As bad as the weather was, it was like because the problem is it takes taking everybody like twice as long to hook a fish, to grab the bait, to hook it. When the weather's... Yeah. You guys haven't been. When you're getting tossed around on a boat, everything just takes like so much longer. So
Were you sore the next day?
I'm just sticking. I was okay.
Dude, I'm pretty seasoned. You do all your Muay Thai or your jiu-jitsu, but guys, I'm pretty seasoned here. I've been on quite a few boats. I was sore as shit from doing this the whole day. Right, I was like, my triceps are sore, my traps are sore, like my thighs were sore, but I mean, my little sister got real sick.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, it happens.
She beasted it out.
Yeah, she's all right. Got to fish through it, but...
I'm pretty sure I went and trained the next day.
You did?
Yeah, I think so. That's so rad. It was probably like dead, though. I still do feel it. Just being in like the sun and standing all day, it's...
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like, yeah, I mean, you want to grab a good piece of bait. Your bait's getting beat up in the hand well. You want to be able to get it away from the boat. And then you finally hook a fish, and everyone's trying to stay tight to their lines, but the boat's moving so much that
it was chaos.
Tangletown is twice as hard when it's that gnarly. So.
Especially the dodos, because they eat. I saw one just went sideways, dude, and it got like 20 lines. I was just like, oh my gosh. You could see it off the top of the water just going along the boat. We're like, oh no, this is bad news. Yeah, that was good stuff, though. So if you guys want to check out the BD trips, where do you guys usually just post those online or on your Instagram?
Yeah,
how do people find those?
Usually what I like to do is I throw them up in the forums first. If you're not a BD member, go sign up. It's free. We we have so much content going on a regular basis. I mean, I was on the last 2 days. I was on recipe shoots I actually got to do my own mahi fish taco recipe, which is cool.
Oh,
I don't know when it's going to come out. That's up to the content guy Ricky when he's going to release them. But we have tons of recipes. We have inshore, offshore, all sorts of channels, all sorts of cool stuff. So go to bdoutdoors.com, sign up. In the forums, I usually start with posting in SoCal. I want to get, the more avid BD members to sign up first. I give it about a day, and then I e-blast it out to our email list. And then typically this year, that's when it fills up. By the time, if you get an email about a sponsored trip and you've seen it, and you check on it 48 hours later, chances are the trip's going to be filled up. We've had a few last-minute cancellations here and there. Yeah. But we had one guy, I feel so bad. He had messaged me.
He came to the
that guy made it, which is awesome, which I'm really stoked. But there was another guy who actually emailed me today. I thought it was a no-show, but I missed his email because he emailed me at 10 p.m. the night before with a positive COVID test. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. Even if I were a landing, man, I can't necessarily refund you, but maybe next year I can credit you. Right. Try to help him out. If not, at least send him $100 worth of meaty gear or something, just to help him out a little bit. But we might have one more trip. I'm trying to talk Andrew on the Pacifica into doing a 2-day in November. They're pretty booked so far in October. We have a sponsored trip in October on the Pacifica, but I won't be on it. I accidentally lined up this trip before I knew that one of my buddies was getting married. So it's a 2-day. I think it's October 13th to 15th. If you guys want to get on it, I know there's spots left. There'll be BD shirts and gear for you, but I won't be there and the photographer won't be there. Mainly because we have our manager's getting married and also one of my coworkers, so we're not going to be there. But I'm trying to do a big bluefin trip late November. That'd be cool. I'm going to do 2.5 days. I don't want an overnight. I don't want a day and a half. I'd like to do 2+.
Make sure you get on them.
Yeah, it's still up in the air though. It really just depends on weather and the way the fishing's been this year. It's kind of been pushed back about a month, so realistically, November should be lit.
Should be good, definitely.
So
Benji Kim, thank you for the $19.99. Appreciate all the hard work and the content, Mike. Not many people know how much goes into this. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Nobody's required to donate, dude, but I do appreciate that. Thank you for the support, dude. It really means a lot. You're a content creator. You know what it takes, man. It's a lot of work, but if you love fishing, it's not really work. You know what I'm saying? Like you love doing it, love hanging out with all these guys, everyday live. So it's definitely good stuff. So
3-day albacore trip.
Yeah, 3-day albacore trip.
3-day albacore trip.
Going north.
You might need a 12-day. Dude, I'd be so down to catch an albacore.
That's crazy. They were getting them a little bit. So you worked. So you did deckhanding. How many? Which boats? How long did you deckhand? I guess how many years?
Okay, so I started when I was finishing up my sophomore year in City College in Santa Barbara. I was playing football. I had a buddy move up to Alaska, and he came back the next winter after working a summer there. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I made a ton of money. I had a bunch of fun fishing halibut, salmon, lingcod, all that stuff. So the following year, I left City College. I wasn't going to go play football anywhere else. I went up to Alaska and did that for a year. Big halibut, tons of salmon, lingcod, and it was awesome. But I wasn't
like a 6-pack boat, or
it was. So we worked for a military resort in Seward, Alaska, called the Seward Military Resort. It was a delta. It was a 49-foot delta,
wow.
So it fished 14 to 16 people.
Okay, decent sized boat.
One captain, 2 deckhands, all day trips. 5 to 5.
Right.
Fillet house on land. We didn't really necessarily need to cut fish on the boat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're dialed up there. Absolutely dialed. If you guys haven't taken a trip up to Alaska and you want to see some insane bottom fishing and catch, my very first time fishing for fawn, I caught like an 85-pound halibut, and it was absolutely mental. Yellow eye rockfish, it's insane. Limits of black rockfish, limits of they have different names for them up there. If you call them rock
really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so then after Alaska, moved down here. I was like, hey, maybe finish doing school. So I was always like 2 feet in, 1 arm out. So I was like never full speed on a boat unless it was during summertime, because I was always taking college courses to try to work my way and get my degree. So I did about 2-3 years on the Prowler. That was 2 with Buzz and then 1.5 years with Andrew. So if you guys don't know Buzz Bernardini, he worked he ran the Prowler since like the late 70s. He's kind of a legend
Old school,
around.
dude. Yeah, hell yeah.
And he got to shit me into shape there. Really taught me how to fish. I actually started as a cook, which if you can cook pretty well and you're okay with cooking for 35 people on high seas and you don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol, you pretty much got a job. But it's not easy. It's not easy. You find I think the turnover on boats, cooks are probably, the position turns over more than not.
So you think that the quickest entry point would just be trying to work in the galley?
Yeah, if you can work in the galley. I mean, I guess the quickest entry is if you're, under the age of 20 and you want to be a pinhead. You go talk to the captain and say, hey, captain, I want to get out on this boat. I'll help these guys. I'll hook and hand fish. Teach me how to throw bait. Teach me how to gaff fish. Eventually, if you're under 18, you probably won't be running around with the gaff. You won't be really filleting fish. So you'll be helping scrub. You'll be doing all the mundane things like cleaning the bunks or helping serve dinner and stuff like that.
What is a pinhead? Is like a
pinhead pinhead by definition is usually somebody under the age of 18, 16.
Oh, okay.
And they're realistically, a pinhead is someone who comes on and just fishes and hook and hand or.
Interesting.
I guess the best way for me to explain it is to talk about mud. We had Matty Mudd. His name's Matthew. He's in the Maritime Academy now, but when we were on the Prowler, he was 14 or 15 years old. His parents, of course, knew about sport fishing. They were very cool with him being out there with us. He would come out. He would help us scoop bait. Do anything, because he was so young, do anything that wasn't too dangerous. We eventually let him gaff fish. We never let him touch a knife, never let him cut fish.
How old was he?
He was 14 or 15.
Wow, that's pretty young.
Yeah, so, well, he's 14 So if that was 6 years ago, he's 20. I don't know how old he is now, 22. But so basically what you're doing is you're getting experience, you're getting your name in the industry, you're learning how the sport boats work. When you're a pinhead, you're definitely doing some of the things that the captains don't have to do. You're cleaning bunks, your toilet's clogged, you're in there elbow deep, types of stuff. But what happens is you learn how the sport boat works. So when you're old enough to actually work on a boat, or not even old enough, once you understand how to work hard and the program is so different. Like, I don't know. You go on certain boats and you can tell if the crew doesn't know what's going on. Like, this fish is caught, this fish is gill and gutted, this fish is dropped.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, what's the process? We leave the dock, we scoop baits, we rig up, we go to bed. Like, you're not, it takes a while for people to figure it out. You hire someone who's 25 who've never done it before. It's tougher for them to acclimate to being like, hey, it's 7 p.m., go to sleep, we're fishing at 1 a.m. They might be like, oh, I'm fine. Well, by 4 a.m., they've been up all day, and then now the whole crew's screwed because they don't understand the program. Right. So I guess getting acclimated to the style of fishing and understanding, it might be 11 a.m. and someone tells you to take a nap. Like, you struggle, but like, go to bed. Yeah. In understanding just the process and kind of respecting the rules on a boat. And I think when you start that young, being a pinhead is great because getting picked on when you're young is easy. When you start to get older, if you start working on a sport boat and you're 30 and you have a problem with being talked down to, that's not going to last, man. You have to have thick skin. You have to understand that if it's your first season on a boat, you're going to be the one pulling the fish out of the fish hold at 4 o'clock in the morning every time. And if you have a problem with it, it's not going to work for you. Right. A few years in or a year in, the next new guy comes in, his job, you have to understand, just like any sports team, if you're a freshman, you're low on the totem pole, you always do the shitty stuff, and that's just how it goes.
I feel like it's kind of the hardest. I don't know, because I run a sport boat, but I am a business owner and I hire people, and it's one of the things that we have with the younger people is, I know you hear it, I sound like a crotchety old man, but the hard work is getting them to understand that you don't just start at the top. And you have to do hard work and menial tests because you don't know anything. It's like you don't get to do what everybody else does. You have to learn. We don't shit on people or treat them any different, but it's like you got to go dig the trench. Or something, right? Exactly. Like you can't do a lot of the technical stuff that other people can do. So it's But the ones that stick with it, they make it. The ones that can make it. The
ones who are able to set aside their ego. If you're able to be like, I just, I was a you have an 18-year-old kid who is the star linebacker on his varsity football team. He thinks he's hot shit, and he comes in and you're
he's
making
a nobody.
you're making him unclog the toilet, and he thinks he's doing so. I'm better than this. It's like, well, honestly, you're not, because like you're trying to make a name in this industry, and how you do that is by setting aside your ego, working hard enough to where you're the one running the boat in 4 years.
Right.
Rather than creating problems, and that's very common in the sport boat industry, is having just people thinking they're better, and then you'll see guys who's like, oh, how long have you been doing this? Like 3 years. How many boats you worked on? 10. You're like,
wow.
Oh, okay.
So is it
you, or is it all? Is it
right.
Everyone else sucks, or is it you? What's that saying? If you wake up in the morning and you talk to 5 people who are assholes, you're probably the asshole.
Right. Benji, Tom Camareno, what's going on, Benji? Welcome to the show. Bullhead representing. Thank you for the super sticker, man. We're killing it tonight. I'm going to Sizzler after this show. $40 in donuts. Thank you guys, Benji. I really appreciate it, man. You're the best. You know that. When you come back in Cali, I'll take you out of my boat again. But the deckhanding. I know somebody was asking here. So, what is the entry point? Do you need to know fishing? Does that help, or you just show up and be like, hey, I want to hop on a boat? Are they having trouble finding people, or what's? So I mean, okay, this is a hard job, dude. Like
here's the thing.
I think that's got to be like one of the toughest jobs.
It's a hard job. Sure. So I think it's a multi-tiered operation here, right? So to answer your first question, no, you don't have to know shit about fishing, because that's how I started. And let's be honest, I'm not the best.
So you learned fishing on a boat.
I learned fishing on a boat.
You weren't like a fisherman over there. I want to go do this as a career.
No. I fished.
That's interesting.
My dad took me on a charter on a family reunion once every 5 years when I was a kid. I made a rock fish in Oregon, did one in Alabama, did one in Florida. When I went to Alaska, I had fished accumulated 4 day trips in my entire life.
Wow.
I think what helped me as an individual was playing sports as a kid, growing thick skin, and understanding that I've had coaches tell me what a piece of shit I was. I've had teammates yell at me and humble me and things like that, growing, and whether I was the best athlete or the worst, I understood how to handle criticism and develop from it. Didn't know shit about fishing. I think work ethic as a deckhand, everything else comes in after. You don't even know you don't even have to know how to fly line someone's bait out for them or cast them out. One of my buddies fills in on the American Angler just because he was out of work last year, never fished at all, but same thing. He's thick-skinned, athletic, hardworking kid. By athletic, I don't mean you have to be physically fit. I just mean more so in the sense that you have to have the mentality
to the hard work.
You're not at the top of the totem pole just because you think you are.
Yeah.
And everything else will follow. A good attitude, and something I've only experienced this with cooks, but I know a lot of boats experience it, is not having... it's kind of weird to even talk about, but not having a alcohol or substance abuse problem is huge, because you need to be sober legally, not so your boys are
water's a
legally. You need to be sober, and I've gone through cooks who, when we fire them, we lift up their bunks and there's old scripts or beer cans or whatever, and it's like you legally need to be like, okay, even if you're 21 years old, you're 21st, and you're working on your 21st birthday, you are not allowed to drink a beer, because if anything happens, everyone's getting canned, and there could be lawsuits, whatever. So
it's serious business, man.
Yeah, it's real. It's really, really real. So
like you're on this machine in the middle of nowhere. Like it could, so much can go wrong on a boat. Mm-hmm. It's like it's totally understandable. Happen. Yeah, you're responsible for lives at that point.
Exactly.
It's not a joke. Yeah.
But I mean, and then I guess fishing experience, and more so.
It's the moral of the story. Just work hard. But it's almost like a good place to learn fishing. Then,
yeah, exactly.
If you're interested in the fishing industry and you don't know how to fish, like just join a boat. Like, I can work hard and then learn how to fish.
What was I telling Benji on the trip? I was like, yeah, man, when they're biting the fly line, I usually know how to get bit, because I never even knew how to fish. I learned how to fly line a bait by fly lining rent rods, and they didn't know how bad I was, because they'd never done it before, and I was on my 10th trip. I was like, I've seen people do this. I'll be fine. And then over the years, I started to learn how to fish.
But you were killing it. Yeah, you probably hooked more fish than anyone. Every time they came through, you tossed it out. You knew exactly where to throw it, when to throw it, throwing it on the slide, and it was like you were hooking it up, dude. Handing them off. That was awesome.
Comes with being there, And I mean, I love nothing more than handing off fish, especially with my dad and my sister on board. And when I do the sponsored trips too, if I can see somebody who doesn't know what's going on, like, as much as I want fish in the freezer, as much as my lady would love to eat some fresh mahi, I find more joy in making sure that that person who has no idea what they're doing is hooked up. And I think that's part of also being a deckhand as well, right? You can't be selfish. You have to understand that if you're casting someone's line out and you're going to hook and hand them, and if you don't get bit within the first 5 or 6 seconds, give it back to them, let them fly line and go cast someone else out. Don't sit there on the stern. That's how if a captain walks down and sees you fishing as a deckhand, you're probably not going to be working the next trip. You know, it's like you have to really time it right. There's a huge but very, very thin line between helping someone catch a fish and fishing yourself, and a lot of that is appearing to do the wrong thing, right? You know, like as a cook too, right? If you're a cook and you're on a boat and your job is to cook, if it's not lunch hour and it's not breakfast hour, yeah, fly line a bait, hook and hand all you want. But if you're cooking and people are hungry, then you're in the wrong, brother. Like you need to be.
It's like 3 p.m. and lunch hasn't been started
exactly.
yet.
Everyone's wondering where the burgers are, and you're on the back deck, shoulder spacing. Right. So it's
that's funny.
Yeah, no. My recommendation when we saw that comment earlier about how do I become a deckhand, it's just kind of like walk the docks, go down to Seaforth, go down to Fisherman's, go down to H&M, and just say, have your own pair of bibs, so slickers, Grunnins.
That's good advice. Yeah,
have your own pair. Have your own pair of Grunnins bibs. I would go, bright orange or any. I mean, honestly, any of those are fine, but get a pair of slickers. Have your pair of boots. Good pair of boots that you can wear for multiple days, and then have your belt with your sheath that has a pair of cutters, a pair of duckbills, and a tuna spike. And I don't think nowadays you necessarily need to have your own knives. I think a lot of boats now have their own knives. When I started, you were kind of expected to carry around your own batch of knives, but I don't think it's the same as much, especially if you're younger. You're not going to be trusted to cut fish anyway. And if you've never done it before, don't lie. If you've never cut a fish before, don't say, yeah, I can cut, and then blow someone's fish apart. Say, no, I've never cut. Right. I'm more than willing to bag and scrub. Be honest. Show up.
See, it's like they'll find work. They've got work for you to do.
Yeah,
so you don't have to BS it.
If you BS it, they will see through it right away. Yeah. And if you get seasick or you don't know, make sure you have boning on you, because if it gets rough and you get sick and you can't work, you're gonna end up still getting a cut of tips depending on the captain. But like realistically, if you're so sick that you can't work, then there's 4 or 5 other guys that are working time and a half because of you. Right. But yeah, when you walk the docks, have those 3 things: boots, bibs, and pliers in your sheath. Bring an overnight bag, because you never know. If you end up working a day and a half and they like you, or an overnight, they might ask you to work the next trip. So bring a couple extra pairs of socks, a couple extra pairs of boxers, and just be honest. Be like, dude, I'm trying to be a pinhead. Do you have an open spot? I don't even want tips. I'll help you scrub. I just want to see how your boat works. Usually, if the captain's chill, it lets you kind of come out. He'll let you fish. If you're fishing and you're a pinhead and you hook one, look around. Who doesn't have a fish? Give that to, that goes a long way. Then the deckhand's not, like this kid's not out here for himself. He's out here for the boat, because that passenger who caught that fish is going to tip more and it's going to come back around. Right. And as time goes on, it's all kind of history. You start to develop relationships with the captain, the second captain, the crew, the cook. And sooner or later, you should be tossing bait on the bait tank and working on deck. Yeah,
that's awesome. Greetings from Final Motocross in Starmy, Indiana. I started as a deckhand for $10 a day for the 24. Is that hour, or what's the JHPAR? I'm not sure what that is. We'll say 24-hour day in order to build up my sea time to get a captain's license in 1976. Captain Dan's the man. I mean, you would imagine pretty much every captain, I'm sure, started there, right? Or most of them.
Oh, yeah. I feel
it's like anything. Yeah, I don't think you don't just go as a captain. Does that count as like just time on the boat, or do you need like? Because I know a lot of deckhands get their captain's license. Is it just time out at sea, or do you have to have like the time driving?
So it starts with sea days. So if you're trying to get a 100-ton license, I actually don't have a 100-ton license. I should. I have enough sea days. I just haven't taken the test because I don't have any intention of running a 100-ton vessel. I would like to night drive, which I think I'm going to probably take my test in January once my PTO refreshes.
Oh, nice.
But so the way it works is if you want to run a 100-ton vessel, you need 360 days on a vessel 50 tons or more, and then 360 days, so 720 total days on the sea. If you work a day and a half, that counts as 2. Overnight counts as 1. So
is that all just logged? And
yeah,
or
it's
you
all
gotta
so.
log it, or
Like
is there a captain's log, like who's on board?
Yeah, so there's a captain's log, and for someone like me, one of the reasons why I haven't gone back and done it is because I'm calling back to captains from 2016 and saying, "Hey, man,
Right.
do you
do you still got all that?
And if not, can you at least sign off that you know me and you trust me? Will you give me 100
right.
days, even though I worked with you for 2 years, type thing?"
Right,
so, yeah. So I feel like anyone who has their captain's license, like you said, $10 in 1976. I'm sure he probably had his license in a year, if not, well, 2. I feel like everyone starts when they're kids.
730 days at sea to get your license. Sorry for the typos.
Okay, I think it's 760. It could be 730, or if that's another typo. I thought it was 760. I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe that was back in the 70s. Captain Dan. He's been a captain forever. Chris says, I deckhand for an 8 and 12 packs in Japan, and we had 5 to 6 boats, and we get assigned to a boat the day prior, and we picked up chum and rental rods, one decky and the captain. Really hard, constant work. Yeah,
that'd be tough. I mean, 12 people, one captain, one deckhand. That's a lot, especially if you have people who don't know what they're doing, and you're retying. And I wonder what type of fishing. If it's flatlining baits and run and gun, that's tough.
Untangling and stuff. That's just crazy. Yeah, man, that's nuts. So let's talk about the. Somebody had a question, kind of regarding like the tipping. I think that's something that kind of always is confusing. How much do you tip? How much don't you tip? Like what is etiquette? I know. So he was saying, this was Corey who was asking me if I can talk about tipping a minute. We've all heard tip like you would on a nice meal. Recommendations, is that still ballpark? I try to be extra generous, but the last thing I ever want to do is offend someone who helps out so much. A quality deckhand when it comes to tipping. So do you have any? What's the? Yeah, I'm sure that's confusing.
I mean, you probably heard me on our trip. I may have had a few beers, so I may have been a little more aggressive than normal. But I like to make sure that everyone tips well. I've been on a day and a half trip where I left the boat with $28 in tips, and I've also been on a day and a half trip where I left the boat with $1,200 in tips.
Right. Wow. So
my rule of thumb, if I buy a ticket on a boat, if it's a 1 day, I'm tipping $100. If it's a 2 day, I'm tipping $200. That might be a little bit higher. I feel like you should go 20-25% of the price you paid. If it's a light load, it might be a little bit more, so you might want to tip a little bit more. I mean, I had this conversation with my dad. My dad was like, "Wait, really? You want to?" The ticket was $220. Why do you want to tip $100? I was like, "Pop, like I've been on the other side of this, you know.
Right.
Trust me, it's worth it." And I mean,
it's like my brother. He's a bartender, and he's always like tipping these fools. Like I'm like, bro,
yeah.
We're just at a restaurant. Like, you don't need to drop. Yeah. No, I know. I'm a bartender. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty mathematic at meals. So I mean, nowadays at the bottom of the receipt, they show you 18, 20, 22.
Right. But I get it. Like when you're in the industry, you understand the pay.
Yeah, and more so too. Like,
but you think it's like 20% is like the rule?
Yeah, I think 20% is the rule of
the ticket.
20% of your ticket price.
Okay.
And keep in mind too that some of those ticket prices include your meals. So, like, the Pacifica doesn't include meals, but, like, the Apollo does.
Right.
So,
right.
Your ticket price might be a little bit more, so you're kind of tipping the galley or whatever. So, but if you're not paying for the meal if you're not paying for the meal in your original price and you like the food, I would tip a little bit more. Show the cook, you know, that you're stoked on it because your ticket price is cheaper, so the tip is generally going to be cheaper. Even though you did pay for your food, you've already kind of incorporated it into your tip if you went out there and paid for it altogether when you booked your spot. So, I don't know. It's kind of a tough thing. I know that, I mean, it's 2023. We're going through a lot of stuff. Money's not super easy to come by. Fishing's expensive. That's one thing that everyone can pretty much agree on.
And I know it's hard, too, because it's like, especially when boats have a rough day and nobody's like, nobody caught anything, and it's tough, man. Right? Nobody wants to open up their pocket. It's like everybody's happy to pay when they've got a ton of fish getting gaffed and pulled over. Everybody's loving the deckhands, but it's like I've been on those trips where it's like
so here's my
advice.
And
nobody's like those wallets stay tight, man. I'm like that's tough.
Here's my advice to the no catching fish days. Right, so get on the boat, bring cash, bring 20% of your ticket, put it in one section of your wallet. Bring a little extra for fish cleaning, if you absolutely destroy them and you have a ton of fish, you're going to have to pay extra in fish cleaning. And then put a little extra in there for an amazing trip. Great cooking, great service, whatever. If you absolutely get skunked and the trip was terrible, even if the crew was terrible, at least you have that 20% that you can tip, so you don't have lockjaw on your wallet, save the other money, whatever. But pull that out before you leave and put that in your mind that it's already spent. Because, I mean, I understand if you have such a negative trip that you don't want to tip anything at all, but even if the crew isn't amazing, dude, these guys are like, I mean, what's the day wage for a deckhand? It's like $160 a day. Like, if you're fishing at night, if you're on a day and a half, these guys are making like $7 an hour. I don't care how bad your trip was, bro. Like, even if they're, I guess if they're, you know, on substances or doing something out of pocket, I understand that. But a crew that's working hard and trying their best to get fish, 85% of the time, it's not them. It's the fish. You know, you're relying on a literally living being to. So,
I get it. Like, I understand.
No, I know you understand, but I'm, you know,
when I go out, it's like, man, I fish plenty of days. I know it's not a guarantee, but I see a lot of people that, like, my attitude, like, it doesn't care. Like, when I'm out there either way, if I catch or not, I know the game. I know I've had days where I've outfished everybody. I've had days where I didn't catch anything, and it's like, but I've seen people, like, visibly upset because they didn't get on fish or whatever it is. So
I mean, it happens. I've been upset before too.
It's tough. Yeah.
What does Chris say? I do $2 tip per drink, then $30% for day boats. That's great. That's awesome. If you drink like me, you're gonna end up tipping like $500. So, but yeah, 30%. That's awesome, man. Kudos to you. That's great. Crews probably love you. That's super rad.
Yeah. And on the last trip, because I didn't bring like any cash. Like, they were calling my number. I was like, because my buddy that I went with, he tipped us for us both on his number, but then they called my number and it was like you owe us money because I didn't bring any cash, and it was pretty awkward. Because he was like, well, no, it's for the fishing license. I was like, I have a Mexican fishing license.
Yeah, so
I had already had one, and I was like, I didn't know I was going to pay for him, but then Benji kicked him back another $20 for it.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Benji.
Because we put in, he put in like I think my buddy put in like 115 or something for the both of us, but then it was like... Yeah,
no, that was me. I didn't realize. Yeah. So Dano, when he was like, yeah, we'll get the whole boat licenses, I was like, sick. And I didn't realize that, man, he was going to buy licenses for everybody. Yeah. I was like, dude, there's only like...
Remember 20... we got the email, and it was like, I thought if you didn't have one, you'd get one before. I'm like, oh, I'm good.
That was me, too. That was just me not knowing. I mean, so that's the thing. I did it with the Grande, and the Grande made us buy them at the landing. Pacific is not a day boat. They do things a little differently, and I love the Grande. Great crew, great people. But Dano's priority was, I don't want anyone in the landing buying licenses. I'll pay for all of them. And at the end, if you... are like, no, I don't have one, whatever. He's just eating the $10 or $11 per person because he just wanted to get out there. He knew the fishing was bad. He didn't want to waste an extra 20, 30 minutes on people buying licenses.
And I appreciate that,
yeah, exactly.
I also like when, like, the boat was already baited up.
Yeah, they got bait before we got there.
I like little stuff like that. Where you get on the boat and go, you know, and you don't...
And that's what that little extra money in your wallet's for. It's for being like, hey, you know I didn't catch any fish today. I know the weather was really, really bad, but you guys went through all the lengths to get me there, and it wasn't your fault, wasn't my fault. It was the fish's fault. It is what it is, you know.
Captain Dan says, be a class act if you win the jackpot. You give the whole thing? Half?
So I've heard different. All right, so we honestly, everybody...
I honestly didn't even know that was... I've never won a jackpot, just to be fair, but... I didn't know that was a thing until probably like last year. Somebody had told me. So this is a good
this is the good insider. I actually stopped doing jackpots on the sponsored trips.
A lot of people have,
just because mainly I don't want to weigh fish. Like especially when you're fishing big bluefin, it's like it's not official weights. You're taping them out, and it's like here's a 201 pounder, a 204 pounder, relying on a tape and an algorithm.
Right.
Well, what we used to do it was you hang them up on the
the little
thingy, and like, okay, cool.
You can't hold 400 pounds of fish. Yeah.
No, not at all. So like when you're kelp fishing, it's fine. I actually personally stopped doing jackpots because I don't want people to be competing. I want everyone to have a good time. But there's a lot of groups of people who want to do jackpots or open parties that do. Support it. Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
If you win the jackpot, pay your galley tab, right? Especially if you know you're going to win the jackpot, drink a couple extra beers, get your buddies a couple beers. It's always kind of hard to know, but like there can always be a bit
right.
But pay your galley tab, right? So you're say 20 people bought in for a $10 jackpot, you win $200. Your galley tab's $90. Be like, this is for my galley tab and the rest is for tip. Well, now that extra money you set aside for your tip, you get to keep.
Oh, interesting.
But don't go in there and dish off $90 for your galley tab and walk away. Like, I've seen it. I mean, ideally, if you're listening to what I've said before, you're already planning on tipping.
Right.
So if you win the jackpot, then that money that you saved aside for the tip.
Essentially, your jackpot is the money that you saved.
To be honest, for me,
the full jackpot.
If I
give them the whole jackpot.
I'm personally, because I've been a deckhand, if I'm winning the jackpot, I'm still dropping the money I planned on tipping because in my mind I already lost it. So those guys are getting a $300 tip from me because I just won 150 in the jackpot and I have 150 on the side. Not saying you have to do that, but when do you? It's not a casino.
What is the etiquette if somebody knows you won the jackpot and you didn't tip out? Are the deckhands salty about it?
When you leave,
or are they?
When you leave,
are they
are we like,
shit?
100%, and we remember your face and name.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So, that's the funniest part too. So you can't fault someone on a day trip who doesn't know. They come on with the rental rod. They have a $30 galley tab, so they think I'll tip $15 is a 50% tip of a $30 galley tab. So they might actually think they're fine. Those kind of boats, I know those day boats struggle. It's harder for them, and I don't know. I've never actually worked on a day boat, so I don't know. I don't know if they talk shit or how they deal with that. But when you're on a day and a half boat, and we'll know. You chartered the boat last year. You brought on 20 dudes, and we each made $100 after a day and a half. When you guys come around next year,
that's.
I don't know. Well, honestly, if you're booking a charter next year, usually the captain's either going to say something or kind of be like, hey, just so you know, your guys didn't take care of my guys last year. We're a little hesitant to have you back on. In some cases, not in any boat that I've worked on, but I have been on boats where people were blacklisted. Literally, you tip $0, you asked for a change. You had a $48 galley tab, you gave them a $50, you asked for a change. They write that name down, they send it to the landing, and they blacklist them from all boats.
Interesting. Wow. That's cool.
Which is kind of crazy. Letting everyone's rights be heard here.
Right.
You don't have to tip, but also at the same time, these guys are making $7 an hour.
Right.
And to be honest, if you're going to be like that, we don't need you. Your spot's going to get full. You're filled by someone else.
It's not like they're hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you're saying too is being people do remember you. It's we've been on me and my wife used to fish the Grande a lot. And Tyler, remember on Sunday before, he always remember us. He says, and that's one crew that's been together forever.
Yeah,
which is impressive.
Yeah,
Tyler, Ash, Tony,
that's why they're dialed.
Chad, those guys. It's always the same people. And this was years ago. My wife were fishing. We went on a bluefin trip. It was an all day trip. We skunked out, and Ash had caught 3 bluefin or something like that. We were coming back, and Tyler just sat next to us. He's like, "Hey, you guys want to fish?"
Yeah.
And because he had caught something, he gave us a 70-pound bluefin.
Yeah.
That we took, because my wife always hooks those dudes up.
Yeah.
Always and they remember. They were
100%.
always cool to my wife. We've chartered the boat before. It was they know she paid, so we didn't catch anything, but we still went home with the big bluefin that the deckhand had caught. And that was because I know my wife is so generous with them that they remembered that and they took care of her on the back end.
100%.
So they do remember that stuff for sure.
They definitely.
The fishing world's small too.
You get excited.
You recognize these people.
You see a name, you're like, oh my god, we have the so and so group charter. They have a 2-day this Friday and Sunday. You're like, yeah, that's the trip last year. We made a ton of money. Everyone was super cool, sick. And then you're way more fired up. And then as a deckhand, you do a way better job. Or you see someone, say it's an open party boat. Can't say everyone in here is going to get together and do a charter, right? You have a good trip with one group of guys. You tip them well, whatever. The next time you come on the boat, if it's the same group of dudes, when you walk up, the way they treat you is going to reflect the way you treated them the trip before. Not saying they're going to give you special treatment, but they are going to treat you better than they would if they didn't know you. And that's just human nature. Let's be honest.
It is.
As much as you don't want to play favorites, if I know for a fact the guy knows the program and I'm going to work way harder, or best case scenario, right? We have people who come on with their group of friends, and then later in the season, they come on, they bring their family, they bring their wife, they bring their daughter, their son who's never fished before.
Right.
All trip, I'm getting that kid bit.
Yeah.
I'm getting that wife or that daughter or whoever. They are getting a fish because I fished with the husband, I fished with the dad, and I know that he knows how to take care of us. And especially if it's a kid, you deckhands tend to think, oh man, one parent, one kid, one wallet, But if you're a dude who's been doing it before, it's like, well, we know this guy knows the program. We know he's going to take care of us. I'm going to do everything in my power to make this trip amazing for this kid. And that way, this dad, and then it works out for the dad too. Now they got something to bond about.
Yeah,
and
it's a relational business. It's like everything. You've got, you know, if you have a shitty time on a boat, like you don't go back. But when you had a great time and you knew the crew was good, you pay them more. It's symbiotic.
Yeah.
You reward them. You want to pay them more. Then you go back next year, and then it's like it's all relational. You know. Corey Geek says, jackpots on my charters goes to the person who hooks and hands the biggest fish.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
We went on the Pacific Queen I sponsored one of Corey King's trips. They
cool.
do the Royal Hookup. So I sponsored their trip this year. Yeah, and that is true.
That is really cool.
The jackpot was
I might start doing that.
I think he might have won it because he was handing them off, yeah.
That's really cool.
I know he was out there calling them out, yeah. They definitely know if you don't tip after winning the jackpot. I've been lucky enough to get jackpot 3 of my 5 trips this year on a local boat and give it back to the guy. That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, luckily I've never won a jackpot, so I don't have that problem. I ain't got to worry about that. Yeah, but I haven't seen as many jackpots, and I've asked captains too.
Yeah.
I feel like years and years ago, it was always jackpots.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last 5-7 years, I rarely see it. And if it is, it's the passengers putting it on.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a boat do it in a long time.
It's a tight-knit group of people.
Where it used to be like...
I mean, it's a headache, man, especially with these bigger fish and stuff.
And I've heard because people fighting, the captain told me, he's like, this was at Oceanside 5 years ago. I was like, oh, there's not jackpot. He's like, yeah, we don't do it anymore. He's like, just...
Yeah.
People fight, they cheat. I was like, that's crazy, dude.
Especially with the scale, right?
It's so competitive. It's just supposed to be fun.
You have the flat scale with 2 hooks. You have 2 yellowtail on it. If the boat's rocking in any way,
everybody's arguing about which one's better. It's crazy.
On the Prowler, my first year, we had times where passengers were yelling at us, and it's just it's like, dude, this isn't worth it.
No, it's not.
And then the person who wins is upset and doesn't tip, and it's like the whole point of the jackpot is screwed. The whole point of the jackpot is to tip the crew.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before.
I don't think a lot of people do that, though. Yeah.
Well, it's not a casino. You don't get on the boat being like, yeah, I'm going to be on top this trip. It's like, no, you're out here for an experience.
You get the bragging. You get the reward is the bragging rights that you won the jackpot.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
It's not the money.
Yeah. If it makes you feel better, I've never actually won a jackpot. Yeah,
see,
my dad
that makes 2 of us.
Yeah.
So was my wife. Jessica won. We were on a trip and she won one. Yeah.
That's funny.
And this was like a half day years ago. It was just at Oceanside at Hellgrens or something. We just did a half day. We took our our crew or employees out. We chartered a boat, and she kind of fat like calico.
Really?
Breeder.
That's funny. That's awesome.
She let it go. They were all proud of her because it was a breeder. She's like, I don't need to keep it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. I watched what that guy say. I watched the guy pay $26 tab with a $100 bill and ask for his exact change.
Yeah,
yeah, dude, we've all seen that.
That's so tough, dude. That's so tough. No one wants that, but that guy's face will be remembered.
Benji Kim, thanks for joining, man. We'll get you on the show pretty soon here. We'll definitely go out fishing. Thanks for joining. It was cool fishing with you a couple weeks ago. We'll see you again, man. Get those kids to bed.
Yeah, Benji.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, let's do some giveaways. So you guys, we're running down on the show. We're going to give away.
Let's see if you can see this. I know the camera might be
BD,
backwards.
Haggard Pirates, BD Outdoor shirts. So those are pretty sick.
Yeah, we did a collab with them. There's 2 designs. There's this one is the tail. Or no, wait, this say cap. What is it? Oh, yeah.
Haggard Pirates, BD Outdoors, live to tell the tale.
Live to tell the tale. So we have live to tell the tale, and we have one that says the captain's work is never done, and it's 2 kind of skeleton-style dudes fishing. This is the collab logo that's on the front of both tees. And then we have this red rope hat. This is kind of one of more of those, what do you call this material, do you know? It's like
nylon or canvas or something?
Yeah, a little more like waterproofy. Then we also have a mesh back hat, and then a mesh back like one Mike's wearing, and then one that's kind of a little more snapbacky, like your classic snapback. So we'll do two bundles. We'll do a shirt and a hat for 2 dudes. So what I'm thinking is...
So should we do a trivia question?
Yeah.
So we'll do a trivia question. So make sure you guys' streams are set to live. And again, this is how I see it. So whatever comes up on my feed, I'm using StreamYard. I can't say it's got I don't know how the lag is and anything, but I'm asking you guys a question. First one to answer, and then you just hit me up on Instagram or whatever. Give me your info and
yeah. When you answer and we tell you're the winner, go to the BD store, go to bdoutdoors.com, and then in the nav bar there's store. And then just let them know your shirt size and which of the 2 you'd like. Or if you want another one of our shirts, you can. But these are the newest ones with Haggard Pirate.
Do they sell those too? Like if you guys want to
Yeah. And if you guys don't win, you want to check them out. go check out the store. It's pretty dope. I know we're going to be running a Labor Day sale soon too. So 24 stuff or 20.
Poke has living in the future, dude.
What's he talking about?
He's making the wild guess.
Oh, that's funny.
What is a 24-inch legal? I don't even know if that's a number. It's not a halibut. It's 22. Barracuda is what, 28.
Do we have questions lined up, or what are we doing?
Yeah, I'll think of one. So okay, here we go, guys. Get ready. This is for number one, the BD Haggard Pirate shirt. What is
shirt and hat bundle?
Shirt and hat bundles. You're gonna get both.
Yeah.
You guys ready? Here we go. So white sea bass 24. I thought it was 28. You could be right.
I don't fish enough.
I'll have to check that. Yeah, I don't know for sure. What is the legal dodo limit in the U.S.? Bag limit. Let's see who it is. You guys are still stuck on the white sea bass. Legal bag limit of the.
Oh, they came flooding in.
Salty Dangler.
Salty Dangler.
You guys were all good too. Salty is the first one I saw come on.
Oh, I'm seeing.
A lot of you guys got it though. I don't know when they popped in.
It's 10.
It is 10.
Two is Mexico.
2 is Mexico.
3's a little.
Oh, see, you guys fell for the bait.
Steven, 3's a little out of pocket. There's nowhere where that's the limit, but it's all right.
Steve. We'll let it go. Yeah, see, a lot of you guys.
Steve.
I had a trick question. 2 is Mexico.
2 is Mexico.
10 is the U.S. Salty Dangler. So where does Salty go to pick up his prize?
Salty Dangler.
Should I get his info?
Yeah, get. Oh,
Salty, you have my number.
I've got his info. Hit him up and send it over to me. We'll get your shirt size. Go onto the store. Pick a. We have 3 different hats. The mesh, this red one.
You get to choose.
Yeah, nice. Choose your hat. Choose the design shirt you want.
Hell yeah.
And then I got some stuff to do tomorrow, so I won't be around. But I'll ship your package out on Monday.
Yeah, I was close. Like I said, I have my own little chat thing comes up. Salty was. He was the first.
That was funny.
Iron Fish was the first, but he had the wrong answer.
From our angle, it went from you guys talking about white sea bass.
And I was waiting for the answer.
Yeah.
It might be delayed. It's not a perfect science, but that's just how I see it. So let's... you got a question, or should I come up with another one?
Oh, man. I'm thinking sport boats here.
Oh, here we go.
Let's see. I'm thinking sport boats.
He's on the spot, on the clock. It's like the
I'm a little
Jeopardy Daily Double. We should put the music on.
All right. Shouting out. Oh, we'll do a little question about the Grande, right? All right. So pre-COVID.
Oh.
Pre-COVID, how many anglers could fish on the Grande?
I don't even know the answer to this. So.
Oh, it's a little bit higher than you'd think.
I think my guess would be, I don't want to tell you, but so I don't know if that's the answer. This would have been this would have been mine.
Oh, is
that wrong?
It's 2 more than that one.
Oh, so nobody's got it yet.
Wow, some very high numbers.
Leonard, he's smoking, dude.
That's insane.
Nobody's got it yet.
Oh no! Oh, there we go. I see it. Caden.
This one, right?
Yeah, there we go.
42. I would have guessed like 60.
Yeah,
so that was. What are they fishing now? 30?
Well, I think they originally let, like when the boat started, it was 46. But after talking to Tony, they said that like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, the captain was like, "No, 46 is too much. We'll do 42." And I know this because the last time we were on the Grande, I saw the tags were up to 42.
Interesting.
And I was like, "What the hell? That's absolutely insane."
Just making sure nobody got 42 before him, but I think
that was the first time I saw it.
That was it. Caden, you're the winner.
Yeah.
Caden, I don't know if I have your info, so maybe hit me up on Instagram on my submission fishing account. Just send me the DM me, like your shipping address, your size. Like I said, go to BD, pick out a shirt and a hat, and thanks for playing, guys. I really appreciate it. He's the only one that got. Oh, Chris. He's late to the party.
Yeah.
But he got it too. That's awesome. Just had a deckhand tell my buddy to boat flip the fish instead of a deckhand gaffing.
Yeah, bouncing it's tough, dude.
I don't bounce because I use slow pitch rod, so it's like...
I lost one bouncing on our trip.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, woohoo, here we go. Bah, cracked off.
Bouncing's not as easy We saw Cal, dude. He bounced one from the bow of the Malahini, and it was pretty good.
You have to time it up pretty well.
It has to be constant, right? You can't have any. Once it slacks out, you lose it.
Yeah, I lost mine because I was fishing 30-pound, and I was a little bit nervous, and I kind of paused, and when I paused, it hit the rail, and then it went back down and snapped. If you can do it smooth. But
it's an art, yeah. It's not unless you got like a broomstick rod. But
I mean, my advice, dude, if you're fishing and you have a fish at color and the deckhand says bounce it and you're not comfortable, look at him and say, I don't want to lose this fish. Can you please gaff it? And if they say no, bounce it, that's when that extra bit of money stays back in your wallet. Right. Because realistically, they want the fish, you want the fish. Have them gaff it. I mean, sometimes it might be an inexperienced deckhand who knows. I mean, guys, it's really hard to gaff a Dorado that's this big because they're this thick and. Yeah. You might be safe bouncing it, but if you're fishing 25, 30 pound tests, like at least let them try to gaff it.
I always call for the gaff. Yeah. I don't ever bounce them. Like one time I tried and then I lost my jig and the fish because I use slow pitch rods and it was like I tried to like pull the line up and it was like it hit the rail. It was like I knew I shouldn't have. Like it was stupid. I always call for the gaff. I'm like that guy. It's like, yeah, in the back. And they hear you and they're like, we're coming. Yeah. They're still yelling for the gaff. That's pretty funny. Who needs a gaff when you can bounce it? Yeah, Cave Dog.
You have like a jig stick.
Cave Dog bounced it like a gaff. He was on our trip on the Malahini.
Really? That's so sick. I mean,
and we were on the bow, and he just looked. He was like, "Fuck it." It was a good. No, we were on the bow, dude. It was like 20 feet down, and he got it up.
Cave Dog, let's go.
Cave Dog ready. He bounced it like a boss. That's true.
That's funny.
Yeah, man. So we got a couple more questions. I guess we can answer just next week. They weren't really deckhand related. Sleepy RJ, he wanted to know any spots you recommend in San Diego or Mission Bay. If you just want to catch spotties, just check out Tidelands, dude. Go launch there in your kayak or get a boat. Go by the bridge. There's not huge spotties, but there's a ton of them there. So if you just want to catch fish, go hit that grass area like right there to the left. We call it the nursery. I've never really caught monsters, but it's a good place to start. If you want the big ones, they're hard to catch. Those ones you got to find yourself. But go to Tidelands if you want to catch a bunch. And then Hado91 said, where do I start learning jigging? Just go jig, dude. Check out some of my videos. Just go to YouTube. You know, I got like a lot of how-tos. Check out my Instagram. You could always hit me up. Yeah, just watch some videos and just try it. Just buy some jigs and get after it. You know, before you invest all the expensive gear. Just use some light rods. You don't have to go get the dedicated stuff. And just try it out. But, yeah, I got a lot of videos on it if you guys want to check it out. And, yeah, I think that's all we got. Submission jigs, you guys can get them, you know, at your local tackle stores. I just did a big drop at Dana. They've got them here in San Diego. PCBT, where Nate works. Mm-hmm. They carry them too. Bunch of places up in LA, Orange County, and then online too. You can get them submissionfishing.com. Got the big ones up here. We carry micro jigs up to 10 grams, 40 grams, 60 grams, 80 grams. So, yeah.
This one catches the. Oh wow! There's a hook on the bottom.
There is a hook.
Look at this thing.
Yeah, that's the TV Metal Art Special.
Insane. I just hooked myself with a 50.
Went out to Thailand today, got nada. Man, Thailand's always produces. Sometimes it's just an off day, dude, and they're just not biting. Yeah, Dayton Landing, they got them. I just dropped off a big thing there. For rock fishing, only jigs going forward for, yeah, dude. Jigging rockfish is so legit,
fun.
Dude. It's
so fun.
You'd never go back to bait, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely great. You got anything else you want to promote, push? Where do we go? Where do we find you?
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you guys aren't members of, bdoutdoors.com or Bloody Dax, if you're not familiar with it, you should be. If you're this deep into where you're watching this podcast at this hour, I'm sure you've heard of us.
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, sign up. It's free. You'll end up seeing a lot of really cool stuff. Moving forward, we have a lot planned. We're doing a lot of good content pieces, a lot of videos coming out, sponsored trips. You can always message me. My name on BD is just Cameron Gamble, just one word. You can message me with any questions, talk about trips. You guys want, random discount codes in the store, or you want to go fish, or you're looking for a boat to buy or whatever. We have all sorts of stuff going on. So if you're not a member of BD, go ahead, sign up, and Yeah, check out our Instagram socials too. We're kind of starting to. I don't know how many of you guys have TikTok. We're kind of starting to actually pop off on TikTok, which is good.
Like
we got
twerking videos or what?
Oh yeah, all sorts of twerking videos. We got the younger guy went from intern to full time employee. He's running it. He's doing a great job. If you just want that instant content, we're big on Instagram as well. You know, from recipes, inshore, offshore, everything.
You still got the baby of the week post or what?
Dude, we took down baby of the day. Let's be honest.
Baby of the day.
Yeah, there's plenty.
That's for
of
the old school guys out there. All you creepy old men.
Yeah, there's plenty of other places you can find babes now on the internet. If you're coming to BD, come to think about fishing.
Professionals now.
Yeah.
We'll keep it fishing. Well, Cameron, thanks for coming on, dude. I really appreciate it.
No,
I learned a lot, man. I mean, that insight into the deckhand world is always fascinating to me. I know when Tony comes on, Tony, you know, she works for you guys too, right? She does videos. She just did a video release, and she's been on the show. It's always just fascinating talking to the deckhand. It's like one of the hardest jobs I think out there. I always admire those guys just for what they do, and I love getting like that insight into like the dark world of like fishing that you don't really understand. You know, you just see like fish getting gaffed, but it's cool seeing like the business side of it for sure.
Maybe sometime, I don't know if you guys are long range fishermen, but I got a couple buddies who are on the angler and the shogun and stuff. Talk about long range fishing, whole different realm. Those guys are
16 days, right?
Not really. Never done that. My longest trip I've ever done is 4. I've never done that.
Yeah, I think I did a 2.5 day, and that felt like a long time.
Yeah, it is.
These guys are like 8 days, 16 days.
One of my best buddies does back-to-back 16-day trips. 16 days, gets off the boat for 3 hours, loads the galley 16 days again.
That's hardcore, man.
Yeah, that's real.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week. Till next time.
Cheers.
Oos.